one thing we're here to discuss today is founder time management, right? So you do have to put in a lot of hours to be successful as a startup. There's no way around that. But efficiency is another thing that a lot of founders overlook. How to balance your time effectively, or the idea of delegation is a key to leadership. I guess, what tips do you have for founders out there that are looking to scale their business without burning themselves out?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Andy. And I 100% agree with you when you say that there is no substitute for the hour. So, if you were to plot it right, I would be very surprised if you don't see like a direct, one-to-one correlation with the number of hours you put in and the success and likelihood of success for your company. And so there's no getting around that. You simply have to put in the long hours. But that being said, though, having worked with a lot of kind of high functioning, high output, fast growth startups and executive leadership teams, both at McKinsey and over the past couple of years, there's a few things that I've learned. So, I think it's important to separate the personal piece from the professional piece. And so on the professional side, I would really break it down to like three big components or buckets of things, right? Number one is you want to do things that give you leverage. Number two is that you want to prioritize ruthlessly. And then the last piece is you want to constantly audit how you're spending your time. So let me break that down and what that means, right? So when I say do things that give you leverage, that means you can't always be in the weeds of building your company, right? In the weeds of customer support. It's good for you to have some exposure to that, so you really know what people are saying, what your customers are complaining about, or giving you good feedback on. But the reality of it is that you can't just be in the weeds so much. So you want to do things that give you leverage. How do you do that, right? Number one is you want to hire the right talent, and so and this spans across the board. It's not just growth people, software engineers, but for you as a founder, right? If you feel yourself strapped for time, and I use the word founder very loosely, you could be like a small business owner, an independent consultant or a coach, or you could be, the founder of like $1 billion unicorn. But the reality of it is that you want to hire the right people, and that can mean hiring an executive assistant or a chief of staff to support you on your day-to-day workflow. Number two is that you want to delegate. So, I don't know if people have seen this like 2x2 matrix, but the way I think about a founder's time is that there's really three things that only a CEO or a founder could do. That's one, setting the strategy, two, hiring, and then the third piece is ensuring that there's enough capital in the bank. So everything else that's not directly related to those things, growth of the company, generating revenue, you should delegate away. And that's how you kind of create leverage for yourself. And then the last piece of that first bucket is, I would say, is like you want to create SOPs and systems. So anything from like onboarding, process creation. If you find yourself doing something like more than 2 or 3 times, how do you create some sort of documentation around it such that it allows you to, hand this playbook, hand this documentation off to someone and they can run with it.
Yeah.
Those are all kind of things that you could do to give yourself leverage. And, moving on to the second bucket around prioritizing ruthlessly, that's, I don't even know if there's a way to phrase this. It's like prioritize ruthlessly, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, you want to be incredibly cognizant of how you're spending your time. Something I do is, number one is I plan my day out in advance. So the night before, I plan it all out in advance. And then I actually color code how I'm spending my time. How much of it is on meetings? How much of it is like deep focused thinking work? How much is it training people, hiring, onboarding? And, you really want to be able to track your time very diligently, but then also prioritize ruthlessly. Each day you really only want to be spending your time on the 2 or 3 biggest, potatoes that really move your business forward. Everything else, delegate away or don't even do.
Yeah.
Then the last piece is like constantly auditing how you're spending your time. So, some kind of, this is stuff I've learned over the years as well, is every Saturday I do reflections. And this is very simply a few bullets on what went well this week, what didn't go well, how can I kind of improve next week. And that kind of quiet time, I spend about an hour doing it, is really, really powerful for me because it helps me align myself. Because, in the day-to-day, things are just too crazy and it's just too chaotic.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that point. A lot of founders and executives don't give themselves enough time to really reflect on anything. And a lot of the best strategies actually come from these times where you just kind of block out a little bit to think through problems.
Mhm.
Because it's very easy to get caught in the day to day and the weeds, as you say, meeting after meeting. And, you don't really have time to apply to thinking about problems and how to more effectively solve them. It's easy to get caught into a loop, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.